Oh boy, man. Well, justice is served. Hey, hello, entertainers. Have you ever been conned by an event organizer? I thought this week, because I saw a story in the news that I will get to soon, I thought this week I'd talk about getting paid. Or rather, not getting paid. I can remember working in Singapore 20 years ago in the 1990s, and there were so many companies that were hard to chase down to pay you. They'd hire you for a show, you go on stage, you do the show, you'd ask for your check. After the show, they say, oh, it's coming next week. Next week, you'd chase them, you'd go to their offices, and you'd never, ever get paid. And if they did give you the check would bounce. So guys, if that's happened to you, do email me at ben@thebigbenShow, or leave a comment somewhere on Facebook or on Podomatic and let me know your experiences. I can remember there was one company, let's call them Mega Super Team Events. And I did a show for them, and they wouldn't pay me. And I kept on chasing them and phoning them and chasing them and phoning them. In the end, I went to their offices with my brother, who's a hefty guy, quite intimidating looking guy. So I thought, that would scare them into paying me. I went to their offices and they said, "Oh no, your contract is with a company called Mega Super Team Events. We are Mega Super Team Entertainment." I might have got the name slightly wrong. I can't remember exactly 20 years ago. But what they'd done, I went to the ROC, the Registry of Companies, and I found that it was basically the same people owning both companies, right? But my contract was with Mega Super Team Events, and they obviously hadn't got any money to pay me. So all they did is they kept the same offices, they kept the same corporate logo and everything. They just changed the official name of their company to Mega Super Team Entertainment. And rather than the husband owning it, now it was something like his wife was the official owner. So my contract was now for this defunct Mega Super Team Events. And they said, "Oh no, we're not Mega Super Team Events, we're Mega Super Team Entertainment. You've got to find Mega Super Team Events. They're the ones who have to pay you." But it was the same guys. It was the same people. Has this sort of thing ever happened to you? Let me know. My tips, well, I don't know if they really work, because you need to get the bookings, you need to get the work. Try to get, if there's a company that's a bit dodgy, try to get paid in cash before the show, alright? Because you get paid in check, you don't know, that check might bounce, it might not work. That's no good, even if you get paid in check before the show. Try to get paid in cash in full before the show. And what you can do, and there was one guy who did this, at the actual day of the event, just before you go on stage, say you've got to pay me, and refuse to go on stage until they give you the payment in cash. And believe me, at that point, the organisers, dodgy though they will be, know that you're supposed to be on stage in 5 minutes time, and they will rush around digging deep into their wallets, racing outside to find the nearest cash machine, and they will come back and give you the cash, and then you go on stage. That's one tip for you guys, alright? Oh, and another thing is, if for some reason you do go on stage and you come off stage, you do the show, and then after the show they don't pay you, chase them up, because these people, if they have a little bit of money, they will pay the most annoying person who's hounding them the most for the cash. So if you're constantly in their face, emailing them, phoning them, going to their offices, chasing them, then when they do get a bit of money, they're going to say, "Okay, I'm going to pay Big Ben," that's me, "I'm going to pay him first." So hound them, yeah? Don't wait like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and then start saying, "Oh, by the way, you remember that show 6 months ago, which you haven't paid for yet?" No. Regularly get in their face and get your money, because you've worked hard for it, yeah? And they think because you're just one guy running a little tiny self-employed one-man show company that they can get away with not paying you. And it's true, because, I mean, for a small amount of money, $1,000 for a stage show, it's not really worth your while taking them to court. So they do think they can get away with it. So just hound them. Make sure you're their priority, that you're the one they're going to pay. What do you do to keep track of the money you're owed? Let me know. Email me. Get me on Facebook. Send me a message through the podcast. What I do every Monday, I have a little book. Well, after every show, if I haven't been paid, I have a little book with me, and I write down clearly the date, the contract, the company, the event, how much money they owe me, right after the show in the taxi on my way home. And then on the Monday, after the weekend of shows, the first thing I do on Monday is I open my book and I contact everybody on that list who hasn't paid me. I mean, some people are good friends of mine. I don't demand they pay me. I just make sure they know that I'm on their list of people to pay. And then, of course, if they don't pay week after week, then I start to get a bit more insistent. But do get paid. Oh yeah, and another tip is ask for a deposit. People don't mind. If it's a decent client, they'll pay you a deposit. But that means the clients who are untrustworthy, who will book you and say the show is confirmed. Yeah, hey guys, has this happened to you? The client books you. They say, yes, the show is confirmed. It's on Saturday at 3 p.m. Next month. And then as it gets closer and closer, no contract arrives, and you get other people booking you, asking if you're available on the same day. And you say, no, I've already got this verbal confirmation from this other company. So you turn other work away and you lose work. And then in the end, the job that this client's promised you on that Saturday at 3 p.m, and they never ever send a contract, that show doesn't happen. They just conned you. So get a deposit first, yeah? So even if they do cancel the show, you've got some money already. You've earned some money for your hard work of all the emails and the meetings and the paperwork and stuff you've been doing. Now, let's get down to today's story that sparked my interest in the news. About 20 years ago, there was a guy in Singapore who wouldn't pay me. I did the show, and every week he'd say the check's in the post, the check's there, the check's coming. And if the check did come, it would just bounce, and I'd chase him, and I'd chase him, and I'd chase him, and his phone would be switched off for weeks at a time, or else he'd block my call in particular. Now, I have a debate in my head whether I should mention the guy's name, because I'm not in Singapore anymore, and this was 20 years ago, so I don't exactly know what's happening right now. I tell you what, this is what I'm going to do. If you take the final letter of his surname, then his name would be Christopher Lie, L-I-E, and I think that's quite apposite, because he did lie a lot. He didn't tell the truth, did he? So this is how I got paid, right, by Christopher. How I eventually got paid 20 years ago in Singapore. Now, luckily for me, my wife is a lawyer. She's a tough speaking lawyer. So we found out by constantly phoning him that he was emceeing at a show at Sentosa at 9 p.m. on the Friday. And we went there to Sentosa, to the hotel on that Friday, and went to the ballroom where he was performing. And we opened the door and he was on stage being the MC. And as soon as he stepped off stage, my wife literally got in his face and started demanding the money right in front of his clients and whatever. So he, of course, panics, rushes us outside the room, says, "What you doing? What you doing? I'm doing a show." And my wife's saying, you told Ben you'd pay him today, so here we are. He's like, what? Yes, I did. And you know what happened? He digged into his wallet and dug out all the money he had and paid me, and then rushed back onto stage. He was so grumpy, but we got paid by Christopher. So, there's a tip for you entertainers, right? Find out where the person is who owes you money. Marry a lawyer, or at the very least, turn up somewhere in public where it's going to be a bit embarrassing and demand your money. This guy was on stage doing a show, and we were right beside the stage saying, "Come on, let's pay me now, pay me now." He had to pay, right? And come on, it's his own fault. He should have paid, right? Well, this guy, Christopher, has finally been caught and sent to prison. It wasn't the performer who managed to get him arrested. It was his client, and I think he made a bit of a mistake because his client was a judge. A judge hired Christopher to to put on a family day event for the Judicial Recreation Club. And well, apparently he submitted a quotation for the Judiciary Recreation Club's Family Day event at Bottle Tree Park, scheduled for November 2010. So I guess he picked the wrong person to con, right? He picked the judiciary, the judge, the legal system's recreation club's Family Day. And he submitted the quotation in September 2010, and he was already adjudged a bankrupt, so he shouldn't have been doing business. And he asked the family court judge who was organising the event that the venue was unavailable, but he placed a booking for a week later, but he needed immediate prepayment to secure the booking. Total con. So he's basically getting money off the organizer, even though he hasn't secured the event. He claimed that the Judiciary Recreation Club will be able to use the event even if his company was not subsequently appointed as the event organizer. It's total rubbish. In fact, he's made no venue booking was made by him or by his company, and this family court judge who's hiring him was deceived into giving him a check for another $2,000 as a deposit for pay for the booking of this premises, which he wasn't doing. And the event was postponed twice, finally fixed for February the 26th, 2011. But then on February the 21st, 5 days before the event, he tried to have the event postponed again, citing manpower and financial issues, and that the gifts for the Family Day event were not ready. Oh my goodness. Oh, entertainers out there, do you guys ever experience this kind of problem? It's well, I guess it's a seasoned trick that these guys do. It's a loophole in the contract that they can exploit, because you ask for a deposit, and then when your client cancels, they forfeit the deposit paid. So most people would cancel when this event organizer goes missing or is uncontactable before the event. Christopher, right? So Christopher gets to keep the money, gets to keep the deposit. Oh boy. I mean, that was the con he'd play on the client. You know, secure a deposit and not put the event up, not actually run the event, just keep the deposit and just disappear. The con he'd play on the performers like me is when he actually got an event, he'd hire me like as a performer, and then I'd turn up and do the show, and he'd say, "Oh, I'm going to pay you next week," and then of course he never would pay me, and you try to find the guy, and he wouldn't answer the phone. He'd change his phone number. He'd just disappear. He'd change his address. He just would not be available. He'd say meet me at such and such a place, and he'd never turn up. And I was not the only one. There are many happy entertainers in Singapore right now. Let's read you some of their comments. Yeah, here are some of the comments. Here's from one entertainer from Singapore. He wrote, "To all my event friends, colleagues, partners, and those who were affected by him, justice has been served." Another person writes, "I'm one of those he conned. He still owes me money. This is fair retribution. My prayers are answered." Vivian Go also talks about him. Sean Tan, Angela Tay, Sky Lu, Caden Chung, Eddie Singh, all happy he's finally got caught. So, well, that's just desserts, I guess. Guys out there, do let me know once again. Drop me an email, ben@thebigbenshow.com, or contact me on Facebook or through the podcast, and let me know how you get your money from your clients. Take care, guys. All the best.